The fluorescent lights hummed their endless monotone song through the corridors of St. Catherine's Medical Center. It was 11:47 p.m., and the third floor had settled into the particular quiet that hospitals achieve after visiting hours end, when the chaos of the day gives way to the steady rhythm of machines and the soft footfalls of night shift nurses. James Parker pushed his cleaning cart down the hallway with practiced silence. His uniform was faded but clean, the same navy blue polo and khaki pants he had worn for the past 4 years. At 34, he looked older than he was, the kind of tired that comes from working double shifts and single parenting, and never quite having enough of anything, except worry and love for his daughter. Lily sat in the break room where James had set her up 2 hours ago. Her homework spread across the small table, next to an empty juice box, and the remnants of the peanut butter sandwich he had packed that morning. She was 8 years old, with her father's dark blonde hair and her mother's green eyes, though James tried not to think about that particular inheritance. Her mother had left those eyes behind along with everything else when she walked out 3 years ago. "Baby, I need another hour," James said, poking his head into the break room. "You doing okay?" Lily looked up from her math worksheet, pencil still in hand. "I'm bored, Daddy. Can I walk around? Stay on this floor. Don't bother the nurses. And if you see anyone who looks like they're working, leave them alone. I know the rules." She rolled her eyes with the exasperation of a child who had spent too many nights in hospital corridors. James returned to his cart, to the endless cycle of emptying trash cans and mopping floors and sanitizing surfaces in a building that never truly got clean because sickness kept arriving faster than he could scrub it away. He had been working this shift for 6 months now, ever since the day shift position had been eliminated, and he had been given a choice between nights or unemployment. It was not really a choice at all. Lily wandered into the hallway, her sneakers squeaking softly against the linoleum. She knew this floor well enough to navigate it in the dark. The nurse's station was to the left, the elevator bank to the right, and the long corridor straight ahead led to the administrative offices where important people worked during the day and no one worked at night. That was where she saw her. The woman sat on the floor in the empty corridor, her back against the wall, her knees drawn up to her chest. She wore an expensive gray suit that even Lily could recognize as not from Target, and her dark hair was styled in a way that suggested professional attention. But her face was buried in her hands, and her shoulders shook with the kind of crying that adults do when they think no one is watching. Lily approached slowly, the way she approached stray cats in the parking lot of their apartment complex. "Are you okay?" The woman's head snapped up. Her mascara had run in dark streaks down her cheeks, and her eyes were red and swollen. For a moment she just stared at Lily, clearly trying to compose herself, to rebuild whatever mask she had been wearing before it cracked. "I'm fine, sweetie. You should go find your parents. My daddy's working. He cleans the hospital." Lily sat down next to the woman without invitation, the way children do when they have not yet learned about personal space and social hierarchy. "Why are you crying?" Emma Harrison, CEO of Harrison Biopharmaceuticals and the youngest member of St. Catherine's Board of Directors, looked at this small girl who had somehow wandered into her private breakdown. She should tell her to leave. She should stand up and walk away. She should do anything except what she did next. "Sometimes grown-ups cry," Emma said quietly. "I know. My daddy cries sometimes at night. He thinks I'm asleep, but I hear him." Lily swung her legs, her feet not quite reaching the floor. "He cries about my mommy. She went away and never came back." Emma felt something crack further inside her chest. "I'm sorry that happened to you. It's okay. Daddy says some people aren't meant to be mommies even if they have babies." Lily tilted her head, studying Emma with the unsettling directness of children. "Do you have a mommy to take care of you?" The question, so innocent and so devastating, hit Emma like a physical blow. She opened her mouth to give some adult non-answer, some deflection that would end this conversation and send this child away. But she was so tired of deflecting, so exhausted from holding everything together, and this little girl with the concerned eyes had asked the one question that mattered. "No," Emma whispered. "I don't have anyone to take care of me." "Why not? You're a grown-up. Grown-ups are supposed to have people." Emma laughed, a broken sound that was half sob. "I can't have babies. I've tried everything. I've been to doctors and specialists, and I've done treatments that hurt and cost more money than your daddy makes in a year, and nothing worked. And now I'm too old and too alone, and I'm never going to be anyone's mommy." She had not said those words out loud before. Not to her assistant, not to her therapist, not even to herself in the mirror. But here in this empty corridor at midnight, she had just confessed her deepest failure to a stranger's 8-year-old daughter. Lily reached out and took Emma's hand. "That's really sad. I'm sorry you can't have babies. But maybe, Lyle." James's voice echoed down the corridor, sharp with panic. He appeared around the corner, moving fast, his expression transforming from fear to confusion to something like horror as he registered the scene. His daughter sitting on the floor next to a woman who was clearly someone important, a woman who was clearly crying, a woman whose life his daughter had somehow just invaded. "I am so sorry, Mom. Lily, get up right now. We don't bother people." Emma looked up at him, at this tired man in a janitor's uniform whose daughter had just witnessed her complete breakdown. Their eyes met. And in that moment, James saw something he recognized because he saw it in his own mirror every morning. Absolute exhaustion, complete loneliness, the specific despair of someone who was drowning in plain sight while everyone else walked by. "Please don't apologize," Emma said, her voice steady despite the tears still on her face. "Your daughter just gave me the first honest conversation I've had in months." James stood frozen, unsure how to respond, while Lily looked between them with the satisfied expression of someone who had fixed something without quite understanding what it was. Emma wiped her eyes, smearing mascara further, and stood up with visible effort to compose herself. She smoothed her suit, a gesture that belonged to boardrooms and power, except her hands were shaking. She asked James Parker, "Ma'am. I work maintenance, 3rd shift. I'm a Harrison. I'm on the hospital board." She paused, then added quietly, "I was just leaving a meeting about fertility clinic funding. It didn't go well." The silence stretched between them, heavy with things neither knew how to say. Lily, unburdened by adult awkwardness, asked the question that would change everything. "If you want to be a mommy so bad. And my daddy says some people aren't meant to be mommies, even if they have babies. Does that mean you're supposed to be a mommy even if you can't have babies?" Emma stared at this child who had just articulated something profound without meaning to. Then she did something that surprised all three of them. She started crying again. But this time, she smiled through the tears. James did not know what to do with a crying board member in a hospital corridor at midnight. His training covered biohazard cleanup and proper sanitization protocols, not emotional crisis management for wealthy executives. But he recognized the look on Emma Harrison's face, the way her careful composure kept shattering and reforming like ice on a lake that could not quite freeze solid. "Lily, go back to the break room," he said softly. "But Daddy?" "Now, baby. Please." Lily looked at Emma, then at her father, then back at Emma, with the dramatic sigh of a child who recognized adult business when she saw it. She walked slowly back down the corridor, glancing over her shoulder twice before disappearing around the corner. James and Emma stood in awkward silence. He was acutely aware of the mop bucket on his cart, the chemical smell of industrial cleaner on his clothes, the $12 shoes he had bought at a discount store. She was acutely aware that she had just had a breakdown in front of an employee, that her mascara was destroyed, that she had revealed something deeply private to complete strangers. "I should let you get back to work," Emma said, her voice attempting its professional register and failing. "Are you okay to drive?" The question, simple and genuinely concerned, undid something in Emma. "I don't know. Probably not. But I've been not okay to drive for 6 months and I haven't crashed yet, so statistically I'm due for some luck." James made a decision that was either compassionate or stupid. Possibly both. "The break room has coffee. It's terrible coffee, but it's hot and it's free. You could sit for a few minutes. Until you're ready. I'm a board member. I shouldn't be in the staff break room. Then you can fire me tomorrow for the violation." He said it without bitterness, just tired humor. "But right now you look like you need to sit down somewhere that isn't a hallway floor." Emma followed him to the break room, which felt surreal. She who had corner offices and executive suites and assistants who managed her calendar down to 5-minute increments, was now entering a cramped room with flickering fluorescent lights and a microwave that had clearly never been properly cleaned. Lily sat at the table, pretending to do homework but obviously watching everything. James poured coffee into a styrofoam cup, handed it to Emma, then pulled out a chair for her with awkward formality. Emma sat, sipped the coffee. It was, as promised, terrible. She drank it anyway. "I'm sorry you had to witness that," she said finally. "Both of you. I don't usually fall apart in public." "You weren't in public," Lily offered helpfully. "That hallway doesn't have cameras. Daddy checked when we first started coming here, because he wanted to make sure I was safe if I walked around." James felt his face heat. "Lily, it's a smart precaution," Emma said. She looked at Lily with something that might have been curiosity or might have been longing. "Your dad takes good care of you, the best care," Lily said with absolute conviction. "He works 2 jobs, and he still helps with my homework, and he makes my lunch every morning with notes in it that say things like, 'You're braver than you believe.'" Emma's eyes filled with tears again. She looked at James. "You write her notes." "It's just something I do. My mom used to do it for me." He shifted uncomfortably. "Look, Miss Harrison, I know you probably want to forget this whole thing happened. Call me Emma. Please. When someone's daughter asks you why you don't have a mommy, formal titles seem ridiculous." Lily perked up. "So we can be friends." "Lily," James warned. But Emma smiled, a real smile that transformed her face entirely. "I would like that very much." Over the next hour, in that cramped break room, something unexpected happened. Emma told them about the 5 years of fertility treatments, the injections that left bruises across her stomach, the procedures that were painful and invasive and ultimately futile, the specialists who kept suggesting one more option, one more attempt, draining her bank account and her hope in equal measure. She told them about the relationship that had ended because her fiancé wanted biological children, and she could not provide them. About her mother who kept asking about grandchildren with increasing desperation. About the board meeting earlier that evening where she had pushed for expanded fertility clinic funding and been asked, with barely concealed cruelty, whether her advocacy was personal bias affecting professional judgment. James listened, occasionally refilling her terrible coffee, while Lily drew pictures and periodically interjected with the kind of observations that children make when they have not yet learned that some truths are supposed to stay silent. "My mommy left because she said being a parent was too hard," Lily said, not looking up from her drawing. "Daddy says that means she wasn't ready to be a mommy. Not that I wasn't good enough. But sometimes I think maybe I wasn't good enough." Emma reached across the table and put her hand over Lily's. "You are more than good enough. Your mommy's choice was about her, not about you. And if she couldn't see how incredible you are, that's her loss." James watched this woman, this CEO who probably earned more in a month than he made in a year, comforting his daughter with genuine tenderness. Watched his daughter, who had been so careful with her emotions since her mother left, accepting that comfort without hesitation. "Can I tell you something?" Emma said quietly. "I've spent 5 years trying to have a baby because I thought that was the only way to be a mother. But your daughter just taught me something. Being a mother isn't about biology. It's about showing up. It's about caring. It's about being there." She looked at James, and he saw his own loneliness reflected back at him. "I've been trying so hard to create the family I'm supposed to have that I never considered I might find it where I least expected." Lily looked up from her drawing. "Does that mean you want to be friends with me and my daddy?" Emma laughed, tears spilling over again, but this time they looked different. "Yes, if your daddy says that's okay." James should have said no. Should have recognized the impossibility of a friendship between a janitor and a board member, the inevitable complications, the power imbalance that made everything inappropriate. But he looked at his daughter's hopeful face, at Emma's vulnerable expression, and thought about the loneliness that had been his constant companion since his wife left. "Coffee next week," he heard himself say. "Somewhere with better coffee than this." Emma smiled. "I'd like that." As James walked Emma to the elevator, while Lily packed up her homework, Emma said something that would replay in his mind for days. "I came to that board meeting tonight planning to resign. I was going to give up on everything. The job, the treatments, the hope of ever being a mother. Your daughter saved my life tonight. I need you to know that." The elevator doors closed before James could respond. Lily appeared beside him, slipping her small hand into his. Daddy, I like her. She's sad like you. But she's nice sad, not mean sad. That means she can get better, right? James looked down at his daughter, who was far too perceptive for 8 years old. Maybe, baby. Maybe we can all get better together. What he did not say, what he was not ready to admit even to himself, was that Emma Harrison's hand had been shaking when he had handed her the coffee. And when their fingers brushed, he had felt something he thought was gone forever. Hope. The coffee shop Emma chose was nothing like the hospital break room. It occupied a corner space in downtown Hartford with exposed brick walls, local art for sale, and a menu that listed 16 ways to prepare espresso. James felt immediately out of place in his Target jeans and the button-down shirt he had ironed 3 times that morning. Lily, however, felt completely at home. She had insisted on wearing her fancy dress, purple with white flowers, and had spent 20 minutes arranging her hair in a style she had learned from a YouTube video. James recognized the signs. His daughter, who still sometimes cried for her mother at bedtime, was trying very hard to be impressive. Emma was already there, seated at a corner table, and James almost did not recognize her. No power suit, no severe hairstyle, no armor of executive competence. Just jeans and a soft blue sweater, her hair loose around her shoulders, looking younger and more nervous than she had in the hospital corridor. "You came," she said, standing up with visible relief. "We said we would," James replied. "My daughter takes promises very seriously." Lily slid into the booth next to Emma without hesitation. "Do they have hot chocolate?" "Daddy says I can't have coffee until I'm 16. Smart daddy. And yes, they have the best hot chocolate in Connecticut." Emma signaled the server, ordered hot chocolate for Lily, coffee for James, and chamomile tea for herself. When James raised an eyebrow, she admitted, "I gave up caffeine 3 weeks ago. Part of my accepting that fertility treatments are over lifestyle changes." The admission hung in the air, vulnerable and a little bit broken. Over the next hour, they talked. Really talked. The kind of conversation that happens when 3 lonely people find unexpected comfort in each other's company. Emma told them about growing up as an only child with parents who had wanted grandchildren more than they had wanted to know their daughter. About building a career in biotech because she loved science and wanted to help people, only to discover that corporate success did not fill the emptiness inside her. James told her about his wife Sarah, who had been 24 when Lily was born and had spent 5 years trying to convince herself she wanted to be a mother before finally admitting she did not. About the divorce papers that had included a full termination of parental rights. About the relief mixed with devastation when Sarah had moved to California and never looked back. She sends birthday cards. Lily interjected, stirring her hot chocolate with more focus than the task required. But she never writes anything in them except happy birthday. Like she bought a pack of cards and sends one a year because she's supposed to. But she doesn't actually care. Emma reached over and squeezed Lily's hand. "That must hurt. I'm sorry. It's okay. Daddy writes really good notes to make up for it." James felt his throat tighten. He changed the subject before he could get emotional in public. "What about you? Are your parents supportive about the fertility situation?" Emma laughed bitterly. "My mother cried for a week when I told her. Not for me, for herself. For the grandchildren she'll never have. My father asked if I had considered adopting one of those foreign babies. They mean well, but they don't understand that I'm not just grieving the loss of biological children. I'm grieving the loss of the entire future I had planned." "What future?" Lily asked. "The normal one. Meet someone, fall in love, get married, have babies, raise a family. All the milestones everyone else seems to hit without even trying." Emma stirred her tea without drinking it. "I'm 38. I've spent the last 5 years of my life, the years I should have been building relationships and enjoying my 30s, injecting myself with hormones and having my body invaded by doctors who kept promising just one more try. And now those years are gone and I have nothing to show for them except medical debt and a broken heart." James wanted to say something comforting, but Lily spoke first. "You have us now. That's something." The simplicity of it, the absolute conviction in her voice, made Emma's eyes fill with tears for what felt like the 100th time since she had met this family. "You're right," Emma whispered. "That is something." They stayed at the coffee shop for 3 hours. Lily drew pictures and pestered Emma with questions about her job. Emma asked James about his work, and he found himself telling stories he had not shared with anyone about the elderly patient who thanked him every night for keeping her room cleaned, about the nurses who snuck him better cleaning supplies because they appreciated his thoroughness. As they were leaving, Lily asked the question that had clearly been building all afternoon. "Emma, do you want to come to my school thing next week? We're doing a family art show and Daddy's coming, but it would be nice if there was another person. Like a family person." James felt panic flash through him. "Lily, Emma's really busy." "When is it?" Emma interrupted. "Thursday at 6. At Riverside Elementary." Emma pulled out her phone, checked her calendar, and James watched her scroll past what looked like a dozen meetings and commitments. She looked up, meeting his eyes, asking silent permission. He should say no, should maintain appropriate boundaries, should protect his daughter from getting attached to someone who would inevitably disappear when the novelty of befriending a janitor and his kid wore off. But Lily was looking at Emma with such hope, and Emma was looking at him with such vulnerability, and James was so tired of protecting everyone from potential hurt that he sometimes forgot people also deserved potential happiness. "If you're free," he said quietly, "we'd love to have you there." Emma smiled, bright and genuine. "Then I'll be there." Walking to his car afterward, Lily skipping ahead of him, James felt his phone buzz. A text from Emma. "Thank you for today. I haven't felt this normal in 5 years. Please don't let this be the last time." He responded before he could overthink it. "Same time next week." Her reply came instantly. "Wes." But what James did not know, what he would not discover until much later, was that Emma had canceled a board meeting to attend Lily's school event that her assistant had warned her about. Inappropriate attachments with staff families. That her mother had called that evening asking why she was wasting time with a janitor's child instead of focusing on adoption agencies. And Emma had replied, with a firmness that surprised herself, "Because for the first time since my engagement ended, I feel like I'm part of something real, and I'm not giving that up." Across town, as James tucked Lily into bed, his daughter said something that would keep him awake half the night. "Daddy, I know you like Emma. I can tell because you smile different when she talks. The real smile, not the tired smile." James froze. "Baby, it's not like that. It's okay if it is like that. I like her too. And she needs us, Daddy. She's so sad and she tries to hide it, but I can see it. Just like I can see that you're sad and you try to hide it too." After Lily fell asleep, James stood in the doorway watching her breathe, thinking about Emma's confession in the coffee shop. About loneliness and broken futures and the unexpected ways people found each other. His phone buzzed again. "Emma, I can't stop thinking about what Lily said. About being a mother not requiring biology. I've spent 5 years mourning something I never had. Maybe it's time to open myself to what I could have." James stared at that message for a long time before responding. "That sounds like hope. It terrifies me, but it sounds like hope." "Emma, me too. But maybe terrifying hope is better than safe loneliness." "James, maybe it is." As he lay in bed that night, James realized he had crossed some invisible line this afternoon. He was not just befriending Emma Harrison out of compassion. He was falling for her vulnerability and her strength, for the way she looked at his daughter like Lily was precious, for the way she made him feel seen in a world that mostly looked through him. It was complicated and inappropriate and probably doomed. But for the first time in 3 years, he fell asleep with something other than worry in his chest. He fell asleep with possibility. The whispers started before Emma even arrived at Lily's school art show. James heard them while he was admiring his daughter's mixed media project. A college made from magazine cutouts, glitter, and a profound lack of understanding about spatial composition. 2 mothers from Lily's class stood near the refreshment table, voices low but not quite low enough. "That's the girl whose mom left, right? Years ago. Poor thing. The dad works nights at the hospital, cleaning staff, I think. And apparently he's dating someone now. Someone very inappropriate." James felt his jaw tighten, but he kept his focus on Lily's artwork, pretending he could not hear them. "Who is she?" "Emma Harrison. The hospital board member. Can you imagine? A woman with that much money, with a janitor. Maybe she has a savior complex. Or maybe he's using his daughter to manipulate her. Either way, it's inappropriate." The words hit like fists. James wanted to turn around, to defend himself, to explain that it was not like that that Emma was just their friend, that nothing inappropriate had happened. Except he could not explain it, because he was not entirely sure what it was anymore. Emma arrived 10 minutes later, and James watched the room's energy shift. She wore simple clothes, slacks and a blouse, but she moved with the unconscious confidence of someone accustomed to being the most important person in any space. Several parents recognized her. The whispers intensified, but Emma's attention locked immediately on Lily, who ran over with such enthusiasm she nearly knocked over a papier-mâché sculpture. "You came! You really came!" "Of course I came. I promised." Emma hugged her, then looked at James over Lily's head. Something in her expression told him she had heard the whispers too. Lily dragged Emma to her art project, explaining in elaborate detail the deep symbolism behind her choice of purple glitter. Emma listened with complete attention, asking questions, praising details, behaving exactly like what those mothers had whispered she was pretending to be. A mother figure, the art teacher, Mrs. Peterson, approached them with a clipboard. "Lily, your project is wonderful, and you must be." She looked at Emma uncertainly. "Emma Harrison. I'm Lily's friend." "Oh." Peterson's smile dimmed slightly. "We were expecting just Mr. Parker tonight. Our forms listed him as the only family." The pause was pointed, the implication clear. "You do not belong here." James felt anger flash through him, but Emma remained composed. "I'm not family, just a friend who was invited." "If that's a problem, it's fine," Lily interjected loudly. "Emma is my special person. Just because she's not my mommy doesn't mean she can't come to my school things." The directness of it, the way Lily claimed Emma in front of everyone, made several parents turn and stare. James saw calculation in their expressions, judgment in their postures. Mrs. Peterson cleared her throat awkwardly. "Of course. Well, enjoy the show." After she left, Emma crouched down to Lily's level. "Sweetheart, I don't want to cause problems for you at school. If people are uncomfortable, I don't care if they're uncomfortable." Lily said with the fierce certainty of 8 years old, "You're my friend and you care about my art, and that's what matters." Emma looked at James, her eyes bright with suppressed emotion. He nodded slightly, a silent confirmation that they were in this together, whatever this was becoming. They spent another hour at the art show, but James felt the weight of observation the entire time. Parents watched them, teachers whispered. One father even approached James directly in the hallway. "Parker, right? I'm Tom Mitchell. My son is in Lily's class." He extended his hand, too friendly, too interested. "Heard you've been seeing Emma Harrison. That's quite a catch for a guy in your position." James wanted to hit him. Instead, he shook the offered hand with enough pressure to make his point. "We're friends. And my position, as you call it, is being a single father doing his best, just like you'd be doing if your wife left." Tom's smile never wavered, but his eyes went cold. "Just saying, be careful. Women like her don't usually slum it with guys like us unless they want something. And when they're done, they leave. Think about your daughter." James was thinking about his daughter. Thinking about Lily's face when Emma had shown up tonight. Thinking about how his daughter lit up around Emma in a way she had not lit up around anyone since Sarah left. He was also thinking about breaking Tom Mitchell's nose, but he practiced restraint. When they left the school, Lily holding both their hands, swinging between them like a bridge, James felt Emma's hand tremble slightly. "I made things worse for you tonight," she said quietly after they had gotten Lily settled in his car with her art project. "Those parents, that teacher, they think I'm either using you or you're using me. Either way, Lily's going to be affected. People always have opinions," James said. "It doesn't mean they matter, but they do matter. Lily has to go to school with those kids. You have to face those parents at every event." Emma leaned against his car, exhaustion in every line of her body. "Maybe we should take a step back. For Lily's sake." "Don't." James moved closer, not quite touching her but close enough that he could see the tears she was trying to hide. "Don't do that. Don't decide what's best for us without asking us. I'm trying to protect you, believing, by proving those people right, that you were just slumming until it got complicated." He kept his voice low, aware of Lily in the car. "Emma, whatever this is between us, it's real. And it scares me too. But walking away now sends Lily the message that she's not worth fighting for, again. And I won't do that to her." Emma looked at him, really looked at him, and James saw the moment she made her decision. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay. We don't walk away. But James, this is going to get harder. My mother is already asking questions. My assistant thinks I'm having some kind of crisis. And those parents tonight, they're going to talk. It might affect your job. Let them talk. Let them judge. I've been judged my entire life for being poor, for being abandoned, for not being enough. I'm used to it. He reached out and took her hand, the first time he had deliberately touched her outside of accidental brushes. But I'm not used to feeling like someone sees me. Really sees me, and you do. You see me, and you see Lily, and you make us feel like we matter. Emma's tears spilled over. You do matter. Both of you. More than anything has mattered to me in years. From the car, Lily's voice rang out. Are you guys gonna kiss or what? Because I'm getting bored. They both laughed, breaking the tension. And James walked Emma to her car with promises of dinner at his apartment that weekend. But as James drove home, Lily chattering about her art project, his phone rang. Unknown number, Mr. Parker. This is Carol Henderson from St. Catherine's HR department. We need to schedule a meeting regarding your relationship with board member Emma Harrison. There have been concerns raised about appropriateness and potential conflicts of interest. Monday at 9 a.m. Please confirm. James's hands tightened on the steering wheel. I'll be there. After he hung up, Lily asked, Is everything okay, Daddy? James looked at his daughter in the rearview mirror, at her hopeful face, at the art project clutched in her hands that Emma had praised so genuinely. Everything's going to be fine, baby. But he was not sure he believed it. Someone at that art show had made a phone call. Someone had decided that a janitor befriending a board member was inappropriate enough to report. And now James had to figure out how to protect his job, his daughter, and whatever was growing between him and Emma, all while facing people who had already decided he was not good enough to exist in Emma's world. His phone buzzed. Emma, I know tonight was hard. Thank you for not giving up on us, James. Never. But we need to talk. HR called? Emma, I'm coming over. Now, we face this together. 20 minutes later, Emma sat at James's kitchen table in his modest apartment, while Lily showed her every corner of their small home with pride. And James realized they had crossed another line tonight. Emma Harrison was no longer just a friend he had coffee with. She was someone he was willing to fight for, and that changed everything. The HR office at St. Catherine's smelled like stale coffee and institutional anxiety. James sat across from Carol Henderson, a woman in her 50s with reading glasses on a chain, and an expression that suggested she had conducted this type of meeting too many times to find joy in it anymore. Emma sat beside him uninvited but unwilling to be excluded. Ms. Harrison, this meeting is with Mr. Parker, Carol began, and Mr. Parker is here because of me. Emma replied calmly. So I'm staying. Carol sighed, recognizing a battle she would not win. She opened a folder. Mr. Parker, we've received complaints about your relationship with Miss Harrison. Multiple parents from Riverside Elementary contacted us with concerns that you might be using your position at the hospital to pursue an inappropriate relationship with a board member. There are also concerns about your daughter's involvement and whether Ms. Harrison's interest in your family is appropriate given the power dynamic. James felt rage build in his chest, but Emma spoke first. Let me clarify something, Carol. James didn't pursue me. I sought him out after meeting his daughter. Any relationship we have developed has been entirely mutual and completely outside of work hours and hospital premises. James has never asked me for anything, not money, not favors, not preferential treatment. The only thing he's given me is friendship when I desperately needed it. Ms. Harrison, I understand you're trying to help, but the optics, Emma interrupted, her voice sharp now, are that a single father who works 2 jobs to support his daughter dared to be friends with someone above his socioeconomic class. And people have decided that must be predatory or inappropriate, because they can't imagine any other reason why. I'd choose to spend time with someone who cleans floors for a living. Carol shifted uncomfortably. That's not what I'm saying, but it's what you're implying. It's what those parents implied when they called you. That James must be using me, or I must be having some kind of crisis that makes me think I want to play house with a janitor and his daughter. Emma leaned forward. Let me tell you what's actually happening. I'm a woman who spent 5 years destroying her body and her bank account trying to have biological children, because I thought that was the only way to be a mother. I was ready to give up entirely the night I met Lily Parker in a hallway. That little girl asked me why I didn't have anyone to take care of me. And it was the first time anyone had asked about my well-being in years. Carol was quiet now, listening despite herself. James and Lily didn't save me because they wanted something from me, Emma continued. They saved me because they're genuinely kind people who saw someone hurting and offered comfort without calculation. And yes, I've developed feelings for James. Real feelings. The kind that terrify me because I haven't felt them since my engagement ended. And yes, I've gotten attached to Lily in a way that probably looks strange to people who think motherhood only counts if it's biological. Ms. Harrison, I'm not finished. You want to talk about power dynamics and appropriateness. Let's talk about the fact that I've been conditioned my entire life to believe my worth is tied to my ability to produce children. Let's talk about how my own mother cried for a week when I told her about my infertility, not for me, but for the grandchildren she'd never have. Let's talk about how my ex-fiancé left me because I was defective and he wanted to pass on his genes. And then let's talk about how James Parker, a man who earns $32,000 a year and drives a car with 180,000 miles on it, treats me like I'm valuable just for existing. Not for what I can produce, not for what I can provide, just for being human. Emma's voice cracked slightly. So yes, Carol, I'm spending time with James and his daughter. And if that makes some wealthy parents uncomfortable because they think I should only socialize within my tax bracket, that's their problem, not mine. And if this hospital has a policy against board members befriending janitorial staff outside of work, then I suggest you check your employee handbook because I've read it, and there isn't one. The silence in the office was profound. Carol looked at her folder, then at James, then at Emma. There have been concerns, she said finally, about whether Ms. Harrison might show favoritism in hospital decisions that affect maintenance staff. I recuse myself from any decisions involving James's employment, Emma said immediately. Document it. Make it official. I'll sign whatever you need. Carol made a note. And the concerns about your daughter, Mr. Parker. Some parents worry that Ms. Harrison's attention might be confusing for a child who has already experienced maternal abandonment. James spoke for the first time, his voice controlled but emotional. My daughter knows exactly what Emma is, a friend who cares about her. Lily's not confused, she's happy. For the first time since her mother left, she has an adult woman in her life who shows up consistently, who keeps promises, who makes her feel valued. If some parents are uncomfortable with that, they can raise their children differently. But they don't get to decide who gets to care about my daughter. He paused, then added, Emma's not replacing Lily's mother. She's filling a completely different role, the role of chosen family. And if that makes people uncomfortable, it says more about them than it does about us. Carol closed her folder. I'll document that this meeting occurred and that no hospital policies have been violated. But Mr. Parker, I have to warn you, people are going to continue talking. This kind of relationship, crossing socioeconomic lines, makes people uncomfortable. It challenges assumptions. Good, Emma said. Let it challenge assumptions. Maybe some assumptions need challenging. They left the HR office together, and James finally exhaled the breath he had been holding since Monday morning. That was terrifying, he admitted. That was practice, Emma replied. Wait until you meet my mother this weekend. James stopped walking. What? Emma took his hand, right there in the hospital corridor where anyone could see. My mother's been demanding to meet whoever is distracting me from finding a suitable husband. I told her I'm bringing you and Lily to Sunday dinner. If we're going to do this, actually do this, we might as well face the worst of it together. Emma, I can't afford the kind of restaurant your mother probably expects. It's at her house. In Greenwich. And James, she's going to be horrible. She's going to ask invasive questions about your income and your education and your prospects. She's going to make comments about Lily's mother. She's going to imply that I'm settling or having a breakdown. Emma squeezed his hand. But I'm going anyway. And I'm bringing you. Because I'm tired of hiding the things that make me happy because they don't fit other people's expectations. James looked at this woman who had walked into his life 3 weeks ago and somehow become essential. Are you sure about this? About us? Because once we do Sunday dinner with your mother, there's no pretending this is just friendship. I stopped pretending it was just friendship the night at the coffee shop when Lily fell asleep, and you carried her to your car, and I realized I wanted to be part of moments like that for the rest of my life." Emma's eyes filled with tears. "I'm terrified, James. I'm terrified of getting hurt, of you realizing I'm too broken from the fertility stuff, of Lily getting attached, and then losing another mother figure. But I'm more terrified of walking away, and spending the rest of my life wondering what we could have been." James pulled her into a hug right there in the hallway. Not caring who saw, not caring about optics or power dynamics or appropriate professional boundaries. "Okay," he whispered into her hair. "Sunday dinner with your terrifying mother. But fair warning, Lily's going to ask your mom approximately 400 questions, and at least 12 of them will be mortifying." Emma laughed through her tears. "I'm counting on it." That Sunday, James drove his aging Honda to Greenwich with Lily in the back seat wearing her fancy purple dress and asking every 30 seconds if they were there yet. Emma's mother's house turned out to be a mansion, which James had expected, but which still made his stomach knot with anxiety. Margaret Harrison opened the door and studied them with the expression of someone evaluating livestock. But before she could speak, Lily extended her hand with perfect politeness. "Hi, I'm Lily Parker. Your daughter is my special friend and my daddy's special friend too. We're here for dinner, and I promise I'll use my very best manners unless you're mean to Emma, because then I'll have to tell you that's not okay." Margaret blinked. James wanted to sink through the floor. Emma bit back a smile. "Well," Margaret said slowly, "I appreciate your honesty, Lily. Come in." The dinner was exactly as difficult as Emma had predicted. Margaret asked pointed questions about James's education, his career prospects, his family background. She made comments about Lily's mother that barely skirted polite. She asked Emma repeatedly if she had fully processed her fertility grief, or if this was rebound attachment. But through it all, James answered honestly and without apology. Lily charmed Margaret with her directness, and Emma, sitting beside James, made it clear through every word and gesture that she had chosen them and was not wavering. As they were leaving, Margaret pulled Emma aside. James watched through the window as mother and daughter had what appeared to be an intense conversation. When Emma returned to the car, her eyes were red but she was smiling. "What did she say?" James asked as they pulled away. "She said I'm making a mistake. That you'll never be able to provide for me the way I'm accustomed. That Lily isn't my responsibility. That I'm trying to build a family out of broken pieces." Emma reached over and took his hand. "And I told her that broken pieces can make beautiful things, if you're willing to do the work. And that I'd rather have a real relationship with you than a perfect relationship with someone who fits her expectations." From the back seat, Lily asked sleepily, "Does this mean Emma gets to be our family now?" James looked at Emma. Emma looked at James. 3 weeks ago, she had been crying alone in a hospital corridor, and he had been pushing a cleaning cart down an empty hallway, and Lily had been doing homework in a break room, and none of them had imagined this moment. "Yeah, baby," James said softly. "I think it does." Emma squeezed his hand. "I think it does too." 6 months later, Emma resigned from the hospital board to eliminate any conflict of interest. A year later, she started adoption proceedings. 18 months later, James and Emma were married in a small ceremony with Lily as the flower girl, wearing purple and carrying daisies. And 3 years later, when Lily's teacher asked her to write about her family, she wrote, "My family started when I asked a sad lady why she didn't have anyone to take care of her. Now we all take care of each other. Families don't have to match. They just have to love each other." Emma framed that essay and hung it in her office, right next to her Harvard MBA, because it was the achievement she was most proud of. Not building a company or sitting on boards or earning accolades. Building a family from honesty, from vulnerability. From 3 broken people who found each other in a hospital corridor at midnight and decided that maybe broken pieces could make something beautiful after all.